Good morning, loves. I am so excited to release this episode. I was not expecting today's conversation. What's so cool is that I've been hearing some repeating messages, and Cheryl is one of the ways that I've received the messages. And so it's just so interesting. You start leaning into this stuff, you start getting curious and open, and all of a sudden it's like you clean your glasses, you take off your earmuffs, you can hear and see all the things that are right in front of you, ready to help you on your way, ready to help you answer questions, ready to help you feel more grounded, feel more spiritual, feel more connected. And all we have to do is ask and pay attention and get quiet enough to hear it and let the divine path that we are on, let ourselves be divinely guided. And then boom, you meet somebody like Cheryl and she helps you connect some dots. She validates you. So before we dive in, I just wanted to say thank you for being here, and this is going to be one of my favorite episodes ever. I keep saying that. They keep getting better. My guests keep getting more interesting and more aligned. And I feel like that's just what happens when we are in alignment and we are honoring and following our joy. So I love you. Thanks for being here. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. Like, share with somebody that might need this message as well. Good morning, everyone. I have Cheryl Bradley here. She's the author of A Spirit's Journey, and we are just going to open up the conversation and see where it goes. Based on what little I know about Cheryl, I think we're going to have a very interesting conversation. So I don't want to put too many guardrails on it. I just want to introduce you, Cheryl, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored.
Thank you. So tell me about A Spirit's Journey. What is this book all about? Who is it for?
It is for anyone that is curious about spirituality. It encompasses so much depth or simple foundations. It can go as simple or as deep as you need it to go. It's about, Lindsay, it's about 10 years in the making. I was told from Spirit to create this presentation, and it was named A Spirit's Journey even 10 years ago. So I've been doing Spirit's Journey presentations all along. I'm also a retired public school teacher, so I did retire from there to work deeper into Spirit, and this became the book. It was a foundation. And what A Spirit's Journey is, I broke it into 5 parts. It was initially 4 parts in the presentation, but I included a 5th part. And part 1 is, and this whole book includes one cycle that a spirit goes through to come here to this Earth's planet, to this Earth's realm. So it starts on the other side, and what the other side looks like and experiences from a very unique perspective. And then it moves into the many, many, many decisions that we make prior to coming here. We don't just arrive here. We come with strong purpose. And it goes into depth there. And then the 3rd part moves into what it's like in a lifetime, just as we're talking now. And then part 4 goes into the returning of home, and all the beautiful foundational and comforting lighted aspects that follow us through our entire journey, that we're never alone. And I also included a part 5, which is very important to me. And the reason probably why we're speaking too is part 5 is reflections and prompts. Because this isn't just my story, my spirit journey. It is our story and our collective knowledge. And so part 5 goes through all prompts and reflections to help you to reflect on your journey, and always with comfort, love, and light. So that part 5 is a very powerful place to sit with your truths, because we are also infinitely unique. And so too is this experience. And so when I wrote the book, I wrote it in a very spiritual narrative, foundational place where I inserted my professional experience and my personal spiritual experience to kind of tie in and help you to develop yours. So it's a very, from the people that have read it, and it just got published on Monday. And
Oh,
it was
congratulations.
a thank you, and it was a number one new release. So
Oh, wow.
it is a place I say spirit and light calls to light, and it's just a place for you to, if you're curious, to peek into that, and take what you need and leave the rest. Nothing has to be taken. It really is your own beautiful journey. And so that's the purposefulness of why I wrote the book in a deeper fashion, is to serve and to serve the light.
So, what inspired you? You said you started 10 years ago. How'd you start? What?
Okay. Well, I was born a medium, although I didn't understand that at the time. I always saw spirit faces, always, always, always. And as I got older, I kind of pushed down that piece. But I was always extremely intuitive. I would see things happening before they happened, but I wouldn't name it that way. I would just say things. And it was probably about 15 years ago where I had two very powerful and unique experiences with loved ones that had passed, and that just was the ignition, the lighted ignition, that my calling to move into that deeper. And then I began opening to spirit, and spirit always comes when you open your heart, always, always, always. And I encourage that. No darkness or warning comes in light. And I would then begin to give messages to friends and family, and again, still working as a public school teacher. And then it just, and spirit had told me years in that you will need to retire because it will become too much. And I said, how can I retire? And true to the word, that exact year that they gave me was the year that I retired and moved deeper into leaving a service that I loved, but moving into a lighted service that not only speaks to me, but to get the word out that light, light, light is always following us, that we are never here alone, and to give people that comforting hug when they need that, and that spirit is always available. And so that really did inspire me to move in deeper purpose in writing the book in a deeper fashion.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
and that's what we need more of right now, I feel like. So that is beautiful.
you're absolutely
So
right.
it's so interesting that we're having this conversation, so synchronistic. And um, I believe in signs, of course, and I believe in spirit guides. And as of like a week ago, I have been called to ask for connection.
Mm,
And that keeps coming up in books and different things that I'm seeing everywhere. And so if someone is like, I already feel connected, um, and I hear and see signs everywhere. Um, but the other night, I had this very interesting experience where it was like I heard someone else's voice
mhm.
very loudly, and I was like, "Oh!" It just really set me back. So, what advice or what can you say to someone who is just starting to feel like they are really getting a stronger connection, and
Mm.
how can we tap into more of that?
And Lynz, I have to tell you, as soon as you were, I'm a spiritual medium too, but I could get validation that you are that curious, burgeoning awakening, just hungry for the sense of home. And maybe our interview was not by chance, and you use my word of interesting, because many people go, it's so weird, it's so funny, but you're a heightened level, because I say when you get those words, just put a placeholder of interesting in there and just sit with that, because 99% of the time it is spiritually tied. And so too is yours. So too is that experience that you had at night. And so to answer that in a deeper fashion, I say, the foundation is really leaning into your psychic abilities. And what you experienced was called clairaudience. And clairaudience is hearing the unseen. And I say the line of demarcation is it of the natural world? And no, there was no one that said that, but I know I heard that. And to trust that and to lean into that. And so really understanding your psychic abilities is a great way to saying, I am getting messages and I didn't even know it. And on my website, I do have some free resources to kind of tap into that. Open up to your psychic abilities, because that is how communicate with the spirit world. That is I call it our lifeline from the other side to help us in this journey. It's not by chance, and we all have it. We just have to open to it, Lynz, and you're leaning into that, and I applaud that. It's beautiful.
Well, and I love that you bring up clairaudience. I think sometimes people get a little bit when you hear the word psychic, like, oh, yeah, okay, you're psychic. But really, we all have psychic abilities. And I know enough to be dangerous about is there five types?
Um, there's six, but they kind of combine
Okay,
the clear nose and taste, smelling
right.
and tasting.
Yeah. Can you touch on that just a little bit for
Sure, yeah,
listening?
absolutely. And I will say too, Lindsay, is your your words are keyed in. That is the defining point of the awakening stage. And I go through a lot of these in my own podcast called "If It's Light, It's Right." And so when you say psychic scares people, I call it the woo-woo factor. And people are like, no, 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 I don't have that gift. Yeah. How about if we change the word, Lindsay? You can embrace psychic, but not everyone can. How about if we replace it with nudge, or we replace it with a
Mm,
gut feeling? That's psychic. Those
right.
are the beginning words to lean in. So to answer your question, is our psychic abilities are they mirror our human senses? So we see in our psychic senses clear clairvoyance, clear seeing, clear hearing, clear knowing, clear cognizance is clear feeling, and then clear alliance is and clear gustance is smelling and tasting. And those and again that line as we talked about is no natural source. There's nothing, for instance, if you smell a cigarette smoke and there's no smoking here. That's interesting. But
Right.
that is spirit in whatever way. So if you open, and I call myself, even though I'm a spiritual medium, I need concreteness even in the spirit world. So I call myself a spiritual validator.
Ooh, I like that.
And so I go with my mantra and I have my cup of tea. If it's light, it's right.
Oh, I
And
like
so
that.
whenever you want to lean in and just clear that earth chatter and ask, you can ask spirit world anything. And the spirit world is our higher self. It's our loved ones, it's our guides, it's our angels. It's collective light. But when we get a sense of, you know what, that feels light, however that resonates, and there's no definition of that, but we know when we have that, when we can clear that earth's chatter and that earth's hum. And I always say, move with that and keep asking.
Mm.
Keep asking because the validation builds that spiritual confidence that says, I am tapping into something. Who is that said that to me? Why did they say that word to me? Why does that voice sound familiar to me? Open and ask. Ask. It really is that beautifully simple.
I love that. And I think if we stay curious, like you said, and treat it as an experiment, always just being open and curious, then we're going to receive more messages, whether it's, hearing a voice or seeing spirit animals or different signs or, a repeating song. All of these things are
Hmm.
just
It's so interesting.
spiritual.
I heard song before you said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. And so there must be a song connection with you and a loved one on the other side, I have to say too.
Ooh.
There's a piece of that. So open up to that.
Okay.
But the spirit animal, when you said you see it, people think it's imagining. And there is, I always say the spirit words and the human words don't always match identically. So I say stay open to that because that's clairvoyance. That's being able to see pictures and images and symbols in your third eye, in your psychic ability. And if you're
Mm.
curious, just ask yourself, was that an image or was that a psychic ability? Did I really see my spirit animal? Ask. And if it's
Mm.
light, it is right. You're on to something.
And I love that too. One of the things, I don't remember where I saw it, but it's something that um, I held on to was if it is anything that makes you feel negative, any kind of a dark feeling, if it's of darkness, it's not of God. And
Hmm.
then we don't have to be afraid of it. Like there is a little bit of hesitation, I feel like, when it comes to this stuff that, oh, that's not, sometimes people think it's against their religion. It's actually just to connect you more
Mm.
to your angels, your guides, your higher self, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's all the same thing.
And you named it perfectly. And I will absolutely agree with everything that you say. And I have to say too, Lynz, is we all have the same collective knowledge. We all have that hum of understanding. Sometimes we just define it a little differently, or we're on our journey and we're working to define that. But we all have the same collective. And I will say too, Lynz, when you say that fear and the darkness, and it is a real emotion out there, but spirituality versus religion, I say sometimes it can work beautifully together. But for me, spirituality is my religion
Yeah.
because spirituality has no rules. They have no
Mm,
have tos. They have no time. They have no judgment. That's where our spirituality lies. So I I choose, even though I believe in Source, my God is my angels. I believe in that lighted entity, but spirituality is what I move to because spirituality has no fear. It knows no fear,
I love
only
that.
light.
Yeah.
And so, but I also recognize, I always try to say, I understand where you are, and I'm not here to persuade you. That is not where the journey is. We're all in our own personal journeys,
Mhm.
and you stay where you feel comfortable. And so I think that tolerance of when we are spiritually curious or awakened is to be understanding of others too, and not needing to persuade, because that really does move more into the human journey than the spiritual journey. And so I
Right.
always try to encourage that. But we are on this human journey that is so difficult. I always say we're 99% in our human journey and 1% in our lighted journey, because that lighted journey is really hard to open to move to. But we can always go there with intention and purpose.
Mm, I love that. Yeah. And I like that you name it separately, but it's also together. Um, I think there's just, yeah, we need a lot more compassion and understanding and um, not judgment or thinking that we need everything has to look a certain way and one person is right or one group of people are right. Um, if we look at it really from a bird's eye view, the religions are very similar. Spirituality, religion, all of it, it seems very similar to me. And
Hmm.
nobody like got together a million years ago and said this is how it's going to look.
Hmm.
But here, isn't it interesting how they are similar? And it's
Mm.
just the differences I feel like are the human imposed structures, rules, stuff that
Stuff.
got in the way, right?
Stuff. And I will say, to piggyback on what you say, in part two of my book, when we make our souls decisions, that is where we really take in all accounts of what I call karma. And karma is how we leave one lifetime is how we come back into it. So it's not the human karma where I hope she gets what she gets or he gets what he gets for doing whatever they did. The karma truly is the things that we didn't do so well in a prior lifetime, and we all have that. No one is perfect but our Lord God, and that remains on this earth plane as we beautifully move home with none of that. But should we choose to incarnate again, I call it the karmic jacket, and we have to put that back on. So we have to move into purposeful decisions to help us to do better in this lifetime, to reach the lessons and experience that we meant to. And what I wanted to really get to where you were going to, Lynz, is we are all on our own unique journeys, because
Mm.
we are, I call us infinitely unique, because right here, right now, and everybody listening, they're a summation of their past lifetimes, of the karma, of the choices that they made in this lifetime. It makes us infinitely unique, even in identical twin situations. Our spirits are infinitely unique and all on our own individual journeys. So I say, instead of the judgment and the tolerance, and I'm perfectly imperfect as everyone else. So there
Yep.
is judgment in my life as well. But when I feel like it's getting to be heavy, I sit back and I say, but they're on their journey. And that's not for me to judge.
Mm.
They might be doing everything that they intended to do, even though my human eyes don't see it in that way. And so at that time, I pull back and I say, blessings on your journey. And that just creates, I loved your words at the beginning, the guardrails. Put those guardrails up. Put those guardrails up and focus in on what you can control. Love and give love and blessings, but stay in your inside your guardrails, inside your lane.
That is so good. That is so good. Karma is another repeating message that
Humor
is
is a
not
tough
something.
one, right? I
Yeah.
know. It
Well,
is a
and
tough one.
it reminds me of like our soul comes to earth for soul school. Like you want to be a mechanic, you go to a certain mechanic school. You want to be a lawyer, you go to law school. Our soul is coming to earth to learn certain lessons. What do you have to say about that? I can tell you're
Well,
shaking your head like, yep, yep,
yeah,
yep.
you know what? I know I have so much always to say because I'm just so excited and wanting to spread the light of love out there. Uh,
Mhm.
I say what we need lessons in the universe keeps giving it. And that 1% of our light says, please give it to me because I need to learn this. But our human side says, enough, enough. I've been punished enough, enough with this. And I say, if you open up to the understanding, and that's not with judgment, that's with openness, without your, I call it your naked heart, is that we came here and we chose this. And when you can insert the word, I chose this in light, not in our human journey, because we'll send that to the corner with more ego, right? But if you can say, I chose this, let me open to why I chose that, and let me walk in that lane, or let me open to just a little bit of that light.
Yeah, what do I
That's
have to
what
learn here?
that makes our soul progression. That gives our lifetime efficiency and less karma to leave in this lifetime and move to the other. So I always say, give yourself grace, and if you can be open to it, I did choose this, but why did I choose this? But make that with love and light and not fear and anger, because those are those human words that will sink us deeper. And that's okay. That's okay if you go there, and it's okay if you can't move to that right now. That's okay. Give yourself grace in your journey always, but reach out to the light. Ask for help because they are always there. As you mentioned earlier, we just have to open our hearts for that.
Mm, mm, so good. So good. And this is such a timely conversation. Like we
Not by chance,
No, definitely not. Nothing is by chance. I just
right?
love that. And the more I lean into it, the more unique conversations that just happen to arrive at just the right
Mhm.
time, or
And
a
so too
book.
will your listeners, right? So too your listeners that get moved to listen maybe to this episode, or one piece comes to them. And I will say to your listeners too is repeat this podcast again for yourself. Be open, say, give me my messages. Because you will get your messages, and messages just arrive. There's no thinking involved. They just arrive. Just like the hearing of that voice or that music or wherever that is. It just arrives. And then validate. Does that feel right? Was that a message? Is that, but make sure the ego and all that is quieted down, because it will give you a false negative. So get to a space where you can quiet that earth's chatter.
I love that you bring that up. Validate it because, yeah, the brain wants to say,
Mm.
no, that was just, you're crazy. You just heard something. It was probably the TV.
Mhm.
But validating it strengthens
Mhm.
the connection, right?
Bingo.
Mm.
It truly does, and it builds that spiritual confidence, and not one that I have to persuade others, not one that I have to voice and say. I know in my heart, and that's a place where I keep it, and just keep that communication, that relationship with the light, with the spirit world, because I even in my small world, I get the I call it the rolling eyebrow, rolling eyes, and that's their right. I don't judge that. But I also say I don't need them to validate what I know. So I always say that light is right, and your humanness can never deceive you or be deceptive with that. When you arrive to whatever's light, and sometimes you mentioned too, it's just not heavy. That sometimes is a way of saying that's light. It's not heavy. And then we can tap into your different clairs and say, my clairvoyancy, because you're clairvoyant, you see pictures. Maybe you see a balloon lift. Maybe you set that as your intent, or red and green. Maybe that's your intent. Maybe you're clairaudient as well. Maybe you hear the words yes or no. So that is how we start communicating, and it's really opening to our psychic abilities and seeing how you're getting messages that you're overlooking. They're
Mm.
coming. If you ask for them or you're open to them, I guarantee you they're coming.
Did you have any trouble when you first started getting messages? Like you said, well, I guess you did say this at the beginning that you pushed them away. And like, at what point, how did you end up starting to open to receive them and being more comfortable with that, more
Mm.
confident with that?
I'm still in progress. And I truly mean that. I don't think we ever learn what we need to learn. After the dreams, Spirit kept pushing me, and this is where my fear came out, is to reach those friends and family that are getting messages, and that was quite fearful for me because who's this Cheryl? What is this all about? So that was and in being true to your messages. Because the messages, I always say the spirit world is like opening up your psychic abilities and giving you the messages that are meant for you in an intelligent way that means something to you. And in my case, that I was to bring forward to someone else. So think about the logistics of the spirit world to be able to do that. But as a lighted person is you don't want to embellish. You don't want to narrate why. You want to
Mm.
just give what you get. And so I would validate each step, each step, each step. And I truly mean it, Liz. I'm still in process because that human ego and that and people's expectations of readings, we're not in charge of the readings. We are just the delivery system. And
Mm.
so that sometimes is a fence to hold back or to control the earth's chatter on that. So I'm still a work in progress and I will be for this entire lifetime. But for me, it's validating. Well, I use the word expanding. Like you gave me like your spirit animal, you saw it. Why am I seeing that? Expand that, make it bigger. Why is it arriving to me? Why do I need this right here now? Why is this being shown to me? Um, but again, Lindsay, you're in an awakening place where you're a sponge of lighted curiosity. Give me more. Give me more. And the spirit world's going, tell me how much you need. I'll give you everything.
Yeah, I would say probably 3 months ago now, I really, like, really got deep into meditation.
Mm,
I've meditated for a long time, but in my meditation, I got deep into the asking for signs, deep into the asking um, for spirit to show me what else I need to learn because I feel like there's a couple things that I just keep going through, right? And that's my spirit's journey of this lifetime, and I know that. And at first it was like I was just getting punched in the face. Like it felt like they were coming in hot all the time and it was just a really big flood. Now it's kind of starting like the waters are calmer and I'm getting them, or maybe I've just relaxed into the receiving. I'm not sure, but
I
it's
have to say, Lindsay, when I was feeling when you were saying that too, and am I okay to express this? It's very
absolutely.
um, is our higher self is in full lighted control. Our soul, our spirit, whatever word you associate with, and it is our strongest connection to the other side. So our higher self is always trying to help us in this journey, move us into this journey. So what you were experiencing when you were feeling that undeniable punch in the face, I'll use your words, boom, boom, boom. It's your higher self going, okay, here it is. Here's what you're going to get for you to find where you're going to. And so our higher self opens that path. And I always say it opens our humanness to go, wow, this is just too much, or wow, what just happened here? And that is part of I call it manifestation of helping us in our journey. And so it feels very much tied to that when I open to that lighted pieces. You were asking for that. And that undeniable, whatever experiences that you went through was like, all right, I'm here. I'm ready.
Yep.
And maybe this is your awakening period to say, okay, I'm moving and forward because it feels very deep like that. And for you to have noted that one aspect or just that one epiphany day, I say validate that.
Yeah.
Validate that.
And for our listeners, validating is just acknowledging, like making sure that you are taking a pause to recognize, hey, I just got this message. Hey,
Mhm.
I asked for this message and I received it. just acknowledge, 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 and strengthen that. If it's light, it's right. I just
It
love that
it
so
is a
much.
mantra that you can carry anywhere. And I wanted to just add that you talked about meditation, and people always ask me, "How do I meditate, Cheryl? I'm not sure. Do I sit? Do I cross?" And I say, "I meditate cleaning my house." Don't make rules because rules stop. That is how I started too. Meditation could be listening to music. I always say not words sometimes because sometimes the words sometimes move you into human thoughts, but holding stones, candles. I want to say the most important part is your location. That's the start of meditation is location, not only in time and space, something comforting, something, a place where people will not disturb you. And you know you have an amount of time. But it's also location here because sometimes you're not in a place in your daily human life to say, I can't meditate today. I've got this, I got to do this. And I say, give yourself honor. Maybe tonight's not the day. And to your point as well, Lynz, is when you have things that you want to talk about spirit, when you're feeling open, make a date. Go and say, Spirit, I'm coming tonight and I would like lessons or guidance on A, B, or C. Get your stuff together. Get your stuff together and I'll be waiting for that. So make a date, set that intention. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. You can stand, you can sit, you can lay down. I have a very busy brain in case you didn't notice, but sometimes closing my eyes is too busy for me. So sometimes opening my eyes but not a one size fits all either, Lynz. Like some days this works and some days it doesn't. So be open to just sitting where it feels light and right for you. And really that mantra can follow you anywhere.
I love that. And I love that you bring up no way, there's no one way to meditate. That, yeah, when I first started, I thought I was gonna, I sat there and my face was probably all scrunched up, you know?
And
Am I
isn't that
doing
great
it?
awareness? Isn't that great awareness that, okay, this is not going to get me my space of light, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the easiest places for me to meditate is in nature. Like, that is the easiest for me to quiet the mind and just um, connect with animals
I
and
will
connect with
second that with you. A walk, just, and sometimes a beautiful breeze. And I say, oh, take all that energy off of me. Just leave me light and polished. So I love a beautiful, strong breeze. Maybe rain for some too. But I like to walk where there's nobody around for me because that's where I can just let my aura just open and cleanse and receive whatever comes in. Not the narration.
yeah.
But that becomes part of the understanding how your spiritual connection is, because we are all unique, unique, unique in that as well. And building and building and keep building.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. Um, so back to teaching and when you got started. I imagine that was one of the moments in your life when you realized you were not living by like default or somebody else's plan. And that's something that I talk about a lot on the podcast is I found myself like checking all the boxes that were supposed to make me happy and I wasn't happy. And it was like,
Mhm.
what's next? What's next? And there was never a thing that satisfied. Um, so is there a moment, I imagine it's when you first started like really tuning in, but can you talk about the moment in your life when you realized you were not living by default or the normal program?
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to put a spiritual little twist to it. I had my beautiful two children, which I now know, Lynz, was part of my soul's journey to nurture and love these two beings as much as I can. But when my daughter went into kindergarten, I said, I need something more. There's something calling me, but I don't know what it is. And so, not by chance. I know that now, but I didn't recognize that at the time. A person came to me and says, Cheryl, would you like to volunteer in the class and do these empathy lessons? They're called Second Step. And I said, sure, I'll get in the classroom. I'd love to be with my daughter. So long story short, I loved it. And the kindergarten teacher said to me, Cheryl, have you ever thought about teaching? And I go, no, 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 way, way too respectful and she goes, you really should think about that. And I now know that that was my spirit guide's big nudge, big nudge. because that planted my seed. And it was 2 years until my son became in kindergarten. I said, I'm going to try it. If I enjoy substitute teaching, I know I'll love to teach. And so, long story short, 21 years later, and then I retired. But I needed that. And I also, in this, we can ask too, Lynz, it was my fifth lifetime being a teacher. So
Really?
that natural ability that I didn't recognize, I just loved the kids, was part of my karma, like the good karma, the past lifetimes. But it was also my journey to bring me talking to you today, right? To teach you, to build curriculum, to build understanding in a foundational way. It was part of my journey. And so when you say that, it was, and your listeners, think about when your life had a trajectory. Like, was there a lighted movement as I did? I didn't recognize at
Divine
the
guidance.
time, but I know now that that was that one line. Have you ever thought about being a teacher? Became a wow, and the seed was planted. And our spirit guides also alliance on the other side. So my teacher and mine were in guidance like this. So know
Mm,
too that they're enlightened guidance to help us always, even when our conscious mind can't find understanding to it. And I was very intuitive, and I didn't pick that up. I just saw that as forward movement for me.
sure.
That feels light and right to me, but I didn't put it as I do now.
Mm, that's so good. And fifth lifetime. How did you uncover that?
Ask.
Ah.
Ask, 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 ask. There is nothing that you are not allowed to ask in light and love. I say, not the winning lottery number. But sometimes people are meant to win the lottery, so that's sometimes
Mhm.
off the. But ask,
Mm,
ask, ask.
that
Certainly, a teacher of the 20th century and 21st century doesn't look the same as 16th century, but is still the same
foundation.
vocation of sort.
Hmm.
So yes, yeah, we've been here many times, Lynz, many times, and that's part of the spiritual journey book that I put together, and also the reflections and the prompts that say, is this something that I really enjoy? Like in my case, I was really comfortable with the kids. I was comfortable talking, and when you're that comfortable or you're that moved to something, investigate it. If you choose to, it doesn't have to be, but we've been here many times, and when we come into our soul's journey, we don't change everything because it's almost like a science experiment. I'm doing a human metaphor, but we don't want to change everything because then it becomes too much of a difficult journey. We make changes that are very, and I use this adverb all the time, is purposeful. And that's from the 1% light. Why am I choosing to be a female in this lifetime? Why am I not a male? Why am I choosing to be born in this geographical location to these parents? We do choose our biological moms and dads.
Yes.
And I say that's our most purposeful because that's our first slide into this lifetime. So those are the aspects of my book and of the reflection, and that you can ask anything.
Mm,
Anything is within your power. Your heart has all your answers, and nothing is hidden from you. Nothing is kept. It's just being open to receive and ask and validate.
yeah. It's
Validate.
like cleaning your glasses or taking up off earplugs or earmuffs. We have to kind of take all of that stuff off in order to see and hear and communicate clearly from what I understand.
And you understand perfectly. And again, your definition, your understanding is unique in yours. And own that. Own
Mhm.
that. That is how our journeys work. We find our steps on this journey in our own language, in our own experiences, and what feels light and right for us. So own that. You're on your journey. You're on your
And I
journey.
think I like that you bring up the parents, that we choose our own parents. That is something that can really soften. Sometimes we have resentment with parents or anger,
Mm-hmm.
and when we look at it from that lens, we can really soften and get curious, more curious about the lessons that we're here to receive from them or we're here to teach them. It goes both ways.
Mm-hmm. And I categorize it three different ways, and it's just I say we make purposeful soul connections or soul contracts or however people resonate with that. In three different ways: comfort, because we need comfort; challenge because they are going to help us give us our lessons, or sometimes indifference. It's just the vehicle to get me. It's not just parents, it's all aspects, being male or female, having children or not having children, being entitled with money or not. There's so many purposeful choices, but they're all based on our prior lifetimes and what we're coming in to learn and what we're coming in to receive experiences for, because it is our choice to be here. We didn't just get plopped in here. We chose that. And I think that I always send that with light and love, because some people receive it well and some receive it like she's wrong. And I say, beautiful, stay where you are. Throw me in the corner. That's perfectly beautiful. Okay. But I always say choice is empowering. If we choose to look at, and I'll use your word, that lens, and I do that often too, that those glasses. So you're following my collective heart as well. Maybe you're reading me.
I don't know.
We
Uh,
do. That's our psychic abilities. Our psychic abilities read each other as well.
sure.
Mediumship is a frequency and we all are mediums by the pure definition of the word. We all can resonate energy through us, right? Psychic abilities are energy, but the medium that we and humanly associate with is I can raise my vibrations to a level that they can lower, and we can meet and communicate in a vast way, in many different. But we can all communicate with our loved ones. Our loved ones know our energy. They are always trying to meet our energy. We just have to be open for it. They're always reaching out.
I strongly believe in that. I lost my dad 2 years ago, and it's interesting to see and feel how much more connected I am after he's gone, which sounds absolutely crazy.
Preach
But
into the choir. Mhm.
yeah, the more people that I talk to who have lost someone really close to them or who are mediums, I feel like it's common knowledge. It's like, yeah, definitely I'm more connected. It's really, I don't know.
And you
I
don't and I want to just finish that. The I don't know is beautiful. Like I don't need to find the finish line on that not that thought. I have the meat or the main idea of that thought, and I don't need to find the answer to that. And that's part of spiritualism, right? And you're right, in mediumship, when I'm doing readings, I always say they're more alive on the other side than they were ever here, because they're near perfection on the other side. And wherever they were in love or comfort, and sometimes challenge, they are coming through with more love and comfort. Or if they had challenge, they're coming through saying, I want to do better. I want to help you and guide you on the things that I see now in clarity that I didn't do so well for you.
oh,
They
I
don't
feel
hold
that.
judgment. They
Yeah, I
don't hold
feel that.
judgment, but they want to be that parent, or that loved one that they weren't, and that they see now that you needed, and they come with strongest of love when your heart is open for that.
Oh, I feel that big time.
And I have to say too, tears are diamonds to our heart when we're in this context, because it's truth and or healing. That's validation. That's called clairsentience, is my body responding and feeling to what I know. Because our psychic abilities are always coming in tangents. They don't come singularly. So embrace that, Lynz. And it's a hug. It's a hug from Dad when you
Mm.
feel that.
Oh my gosh, Cheryl.
It truly is, and validate that.
Yeah.
Readings are, I'm just a validator. Readings are always part of your heart.
Well,
So
this whole
open.
conversation is so validating. It's so timely. It's so interesting how I've asked for connection and you came out of the
Yeah.
blue and
And that's how spirit works. And that's how your higher self works as well, Lynz, is light knows light. And I always say, don't just take what someone says, but claim it if it speaks to you. And if it doesn't, leave it. Maybe it will later, maybe it won't ever. And that's okay. You take what you need always. And that's what the spirit world gives us. They don't always give us what we want, they give us what we need. And sometimes it's beautifully connected, like both, but they always give us what we need in our walk. They know the difficulty, they've been here, and they see our path so strongly, to Lynz, that they want to help us move in our path and to give the love and the light and the beacon for our journey. They're always with us. We just have to open and reach.
Mm.
It really is, and that is what my book, A Spirit's Journey, opens to give us, is we're not alone. And this book is not of fear and warnings and darkness. It is, in my spiritual perspective, it's the opposite. Is you are held, you are loved, you are here because you chose to be, and not with any punishment or penalty. It really it is, and I want to say too, Lynz, before we forget, is before we finish too, is this journey, when we're on the other side, we're all frequency. We don't have three-dimensional. Three-dimensional, I mean, it's not anything you can touch or put your hands around. And when we come to this journey, that's the blessing that we get here, is we get touch. We get breathing and feeling breeze and all those earthly aspects that don't exist on this side. We can imagine them. That's part one. We can create what we imagine, but truly in a physical sense, that's a gift that we get when we come here as well. And especially the touch of feel, of hug, of kiss, of body, because that does not exist on the other side. And sometimes a good lobster roll. Although I don't eat lobster, so do you eat lobster?
I do eat lobster. I don't think I've ever had a lobster roll.
Really
It's been a long
interesting.
time since I've had lobster, but
Okay, it's just interesting that a lobster roll came through. See how that fits. I don't know,
yeah.
but again, that's a caveat that it's a bonus for our experience when we do come to this journey. And I wanted to especially really promote the not promote, but dissect my part four of returning home, because it is the most difficult for the human, for our human journey, is to grieve and to see loss. It is our experience. It is, but I have to, in part four, I really work to really open the understanding of the heart that we do choose our home. Our Lord God gave us free will, and we carry it everywhere. And we do choose our going home. I don't use the word D, the death word, because that's the human aspect. It is just a return home. And as a medium and as anyone that sees light, if you could see them moving back home, and I've seen this many times, is they're like, I'm done. This journey is done. Not everyone, there's no cookie cutter answer, but we're going home to tolerance, to peace, to eternal love, and residing there as long as we want, or choosing to come back in.
It's Earth
But again,
School.
the spirit's journey is just one of many, many cycles that we have coming to this Earth's plane. We do have other dimensions too, Lynz, but we'll talk about that another day.
Wow, this has been so good. Yeah. I feel like I keep thinking of the quote, death is like taking off a tight shoe for the soul.
Mm,
We don't have to be sad about it. We can rejoice that they are like free and home, and that we are actually more connected. It's just we can't hug them, they can't hug us, they can't make us chicken soup or whatever when we need
and that's
comfort.
the difficulty of our journey, but it is part of what we come in knowing.
Mm,
We come in knowing that that will be part of our journey. And the contingencies of everyone else's free will ripple into mine. I call it almost a whack-a-mole sometimes, as we get our head up, bam, bam. But we know that's our journey. And that's why in part two, we really work to make it as efficient as we can, knowing that there's going to be lots of obstacles that I didn't foresee. So we come in with that journey. But if we can find an ounce of gratitude, Lynz, that is a beautiful way to just get our nose above the water level at times, and give yourself grace in our journey. I say, have your pity party, have your pity party, let it all out, but you can't stay there because it
right.
does not serve your soul. It does not serve your
Feel
journey.
it, but don't stay there.
Right.
And yeah, the gratitude thing. I do a gratitude practice. I have a planner um,
Beautiful.
that I teach and sell, and gratitude is one of the simplest things that can really pull us out of, I call them dips, pull us out of the dip. Sometimes, and I recommend that my people do them at night. Just five things. Give me five things that you're grateful for. And I don't care if it's uh, something, it should be something simple, right? Like
Right.
turning the lights on, running the water, being able to sleep in a bed. But all of those, that practice really pulls you out of
Mm.
the yuck, that you can
It
get
changes
stuck
the
in.
focus, right?
Yeah,
Because that's not going anywhere.
right.
It's not going anywhere. It just moves you into the focus. And sometimes it's only for a minute, but you got a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's a part of gratitude as well. And I say, like just as you say, there's nothing. Maybe you just stood up today instead of maybe you got out of bed today, or made yourself some soup.
Yeah.
But that felt light and right to you. That is gratitude. And open that just that I love that practice. Open your heart and say, okay, nothing's too small. What gave me gratitude today?
Yeah. And we
Beautiful. That's a
we
beautiful
think that
practice.
there's going to be like this end game where we get to, like you were doing this. That's exactly how I describe life when things are coming in at you, like obstacles and, unforeseen challenges or whatever. That never stops. It's
Mm.
it's not like you level up to a point where you don't have things coming in at you. It's just that you meet them at a different level, right? And you see them for what they are, and it's just like, oh, here's a new lesson. What can I learn from that today?
And you feel like even saying that, right? It's just and you don't have any answers. I don't have any to-do list. I have acknowledgement or understanding of that. And that's a beautiful place to reside. You don't have to find the answers, and sometimes you're not meant to. Sometimes that's just part of the journey of
Like
uncovering.
that. Sometimes you're not meant to. Yeah.
Your heart knows all your answers. You just have to ask it or feel it, right? Just feel it or validate it or use the mantra, any of the above. Your heart will tell you all your answers, and it will give you the light and love and the comfort that you need in that exact moment.
Yeah. More heart than mind, right? More heart than head.
Right. Human, spirit.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes just defining that is I always say choose your verbs. I did a podcast on that too. Choose your verbs. Where are you feeling right now? You feeling like tired, insecure? That's human. Okay. All right. But peaceful, gratitude, tolerant, not heavy, blank. I can't describe your light words, and only you can, especially in the situation, right? There are very easy situations and there are very deep situations, and that looks very different in my human, my ego. But when you feel fear, like true fear, I always put them side by side by my. I say I have fear here. I'm naming it, and I have light here. I'm going to choose my light because that will always serve me better. And fear, you can just stay on your own.
Oh, I love that.
But I have to recycle that. It doesn't imprint on me, right? I have to keep revolving around that when I feel that coming up again. Okay, get centered, Cheryl. Fear, light. Or name the fear of A, B, or C. I'm choosing light. I'm choosing that light will bring me to the right place, in purposeful place. But I always say it's not always a place of happiness. It is just where I'm supposed to go for whatever reasons.
Mm.
So light is right and keep making it right. When you really open yourself to that light and say, all right, this is where I need to go, or this is wherever I'm going to keep that making that right. I'm not going to look backwards, right? Proverbially, metaphorically, or I'm not going to use the word but because that's when that ego is going to come in and say, see, Cheryl, you always make the wrong decisions. I told you to do this and you didn't. No, I was supposed to go here. And now let me ask or be open to the reason why. So keep making that right. Give yourself that lighted opportunity to keep walking. And I truly believe there are no mistakes in life. I truly believe that it's when you repeat what you know, that those are places that you need to soften but there are no mistakes. Everything is a learning process. So give yourself grace on that.
Mm. And I like that you say put your fear over here and your light over here. Like you are not the fear. The fear is just this thing.
Name
That's
it.
a
Name
really
it.
beautiful way to look
Name
at
it.
that.
Or use another spiritual tool like throw it away. Sometimes I bat it. Sometimes I cut it. Use your spiritual tools that speak to you. You're mad at it. Well, make it a rock and bat it across the universe. Or imagine it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not clairvoyant, but you can hear it. You can hear the bat, or you can sense it. Use your spiritual tools. And I say, give it to the universe. They will take all your angst. And maybe that's where you go. Take my fear away from me and see, feel, or hear it leaving you. There's so many spiritual, I call them strategies to help us in that journey.
Yeah.
But they're your unique journey and you have to find your own. that feel light and right for you at that moment. At that moment.
And those can be such powerful, there's symbolic, like I throw sticks in the river when I'm,
Beautiful.
that's one of my symbolisms, or symbolic gestures is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say
absolutely.
for burning
Absolutely.
something. Yeah.
And at the beginning of our session too, you were burning, what did you burn that gave
Palo
you,
Santo.
and that gave you lightness, an intent of space of light. That's a spiritual tool, right? So be open to that. Like that makes you uh, just open and gives you light and you just feel light.
Mm,
Beautiful. There's no right or wrong. There's whatever speaks to you in your heart and your soul.
I love that. This has been so refreshing. Is
Oh, me
there
too, Lynz.
something today or something that you want to um, touch on before we close? Any more? You've given us so much. I mean, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I could stay here. We could do pillows and stay all night and talk. I will say too that light is everywhere, and in the purest way to kind of lean into your light or your spirit connection is to identify your psychic abilities and to really kind of say, "Oh, I get that." Just as we kind of intertwined. And on my website, CherylBradley.com, I do have a tab, Spiritual Toolkit, and they're all free references to help you to understand your psychic abilities. I also have a condensed presentation of a spirit's journey. I go through it and just kind of tell you the pieces that are part of the book. And I say, open your heart to what speaks to you. That is where you walk always. But know that the light is always, always surrounding us, even when we don't feel it. Um, so I send light and love to all your listeners, and you, Lynz, you're a beacon of light in helping others to find their light. And those 5 steps of gratitude is a beautiful place to find peace. And it is my biggest pull you up from your coat strings to find peace. And that's our ultimate goal in this lifetime, is just to take a sense of peace. And wherever you are, honor it. It is how you finish a journey, is that karmic coat leaves. So honor that journey. It's never too late to open to your light in any sense. Don't own it.
Mm,
Don't just take it, but take it and own it and grow with it.
yeah, I love that. I'm definitely going to check out your website and the tools, and I really hope this is not our last conversation because you have
I'd love
been
to join
just
you again.
such a what a perfect way for me to start my Friday. I love this.
And mine as well. And stay open to your light because it will keep giving. It will keep giving. So
Yeah,
keep
I feel
open.
like mine is just cracking open, and I see that in other people. Um, I call it you're getting cracked open, and like it's almost like an egg, you get cracked down the middle, and all of a sudden you start opening up, and there's just
The light.
light pouring out of you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awakening. It's just
yeah,
it's the next step after cure is now I'm seeing, feeling, and hearing. Yeah. So keep awakening. You're on your way, Lynz.
Thank you so much, Cheryl.
It's
This
been
is
a pleasure.
thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Okay, my loves, thanks for hanging with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please share it with someone and like, subscribe, leave me a rating, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next week, if not before.